Let's talk more now about political violence during elections. I have with me in the studio Professor Joseph Abugu, a professor of law at the University of Lagos. You're welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you.
So let's first of all get your assessment of the presidential elections that took place on Saturday.
Well, to the glory of God, the elections generally have been acclaimed to be relatively peaceful, free, and fair. And to that extent, we thank Nigerians for the peaceful conduct of the elections. Except in those cases where, violence have been reported, it's gone pretty well.
Yeah, and then let's talk about those places where violence have been reported. For example, Rivers State, which is right now still brewing, although the tension has died down a bit more. But why is it possible, for political parties to campaign and for elections to hold without any cases of violence?
Well, electoral violence have been a feature of our elections over time. But it is something that is very condemnable. It is something that is reprehensible. It is something we should grow out of. The ideal is to have elections that are free, fair, and peaceful. But in my view, the recent occurrences of violence that we have witnessed in the elections that we've just had can be attributed to ill information, the fact that our electorates are not well informed.
What do you mean by that?
Exactly. The president has repeatedly said that, look, his ambition or the ambition of any politician is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. Now, so why would any supporter of a candidate or a political party indulge in electoral violence? But when I say that they are not well informed, the rules are clear. Maybe INEC has not really done a lot in advising electorates about the effect of electoral violence. Not only is it an offense under the law, you can be arrested, you can be prosecuted, but how does it aid your candidate? If you snatch a ballot box, the result of that unit is going to be cancelled. How does it affect the victory of the candidate you want to support? Moreover, under the new rules, the use of the card reader has made it very, very difficult for anybody to snatch a ballot box under force, stuff it with ballot papers, and have the votes recorded. Because when it comes to the collating units, the card readers will make it clear that the number of accredited voters is in disparity with the votes that have been stuffed into the ballot box. And so it goes to no effect.
Yeah, it makes it futile at the end of the day.
Futile.
But, it makes one really wonder, if there are really laws that punish people who participate in electoral violence, because this has gone on. There have been no arrests made. Nobody has been prosecuted.
The reality is that there are laws. The political will to implement and enforce those laws is probably what is lacking. In all the elections that have been held in the past, people have been arrested. People have been arrested wielding weapons. People have been arrested with electoral materials. People have been arrested, moving when they should not be moving, when movements are restricted. But were they prosecuted? That is a question of the political will, not the absence of relevant laws.
And the responsibility of that would be the Nigerian police.
The responsibility is squarely that of the Nigerian police at the end of the day.
And we're looking forward to the elections on Saturday. That would be the governorship and then the state assembly elections. How can we forestall, such occurrences of violence in the upcoming polls?
The responsibility is that of the police. Thank God also the military have been used to some extent outside the polling units, outside the polling areas, in manning major highways, in ensuring that politicians and their supporters do not have the free reign of movement to move around thugs or other persons that may otherwise cause mayhem. So we need a much more effective deployment of the security forces. And for the police and the polling units, we need a lot manpower.
Yeah, I think I need to squeeze this in a bit because there needs to be a balance. You know, people are afraid when they see policemen at polling units. They say you're not supposed to have, you know, those law enforcement agents as close, you know, to the polling units as possible. And then they're also expected to keep the peace and to, you know, enforce these laws that you talk about. Yeah. How do you balance that?
It's a delicate balance, but at the end of the day, the police commissioners and the DPOs responsible for the areas under their jurisdiction will have to find a way to maintain this balance. They must be present to keep law and order. But at the same time, their presence must not be so overwhelming as to intimidate or scare people from performing their civic duties.
Professor Abugu, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you.
Professor Joseph Abugu is a professor of law at the University of Lagos, and we discussed electoral violence during and after the elections. When the News at 10 returns, the 3 governorship candidates in Nasarawa State attend Mada Festival and also explain why they should be voted into power. That's in a moment. Please join us again.